Since the last episode where we introduced bikes to the city, I've been on live stream ironing out a few of the early problems, including some very enthusiastic bike congestion. Today, we're building on that work with two new mods, one that gives us proper control over bike lane colours, and another that might finally help untangle our cycling issues, while also improving performance. But before we see any of that, we'll head down to the harbour where pedestrian and bike connections around the rail tracks are a mess and need rebuilding from the ground up. After that, we'll revisit another area of the city with new assets, better roads, and a brand new recreational facility at the heart of the community. Welcome to Sunny Isle. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Sunny Isle. And in between this episode and the last, we did have a little bit of a live stream. I'd not been in the save for a while, and with all the latest updates coming over the past few months, it's been a little difficult to keep up with all the changes. But in the stream, we did play around with trying to fix our bicycle traffic. So we're down by what is the Sunshine Hotel on the corner here. This is the main road that takes you into the old town. And we had, along this beachfront here, a cycle. Well, we still do have a bicycle path that runs all the way along the front down to the river. But we had it connected up to this little intersection here, which was a complete nightmare when it came to traffic. The bicycles were not lighted, so they just entered whenever they wanted. So what we did is we rerouted it. So we gave them a shortcut to go straight up to the Mont Clementine area. And we also extended the bicycle path all the way up to the top of the island where we got the new ferry stop in the old town. And for the most part, it's working really well. We've got a little bit of access here, a little stop in front of this light post, which obviously isn't ideal, but this intersection here isn't really being used by any other vehicles since the trams and the cars have to just go straight on. So it's an ideal spot to bring in cyclists, whereas up here we've got the lights, we've got the T intersection here with the buses coming through. It was a little bit of a nightmare. Also, on that live stream, I got some advice when it came to installing some new mods to the city. The first mod that I've installed is Road Visual Tweaks, and you can see the results in front of you. Rookie Thomas, who was on the stream, reached out on Discord and suggested using these settings. And with that, we were able to replicate the blue bicycle lanes that you find in London. It's temporary. I'm just going to trial it out for an episode or two, so you'll have to let me know what you think in the comments. But in my opinion, it looks pretty good and it doesn't stick out as much as the green originally did. The mod also allows you to adjust the color of the roads, the color of bus lanes. However, I've kept all those as default. The other mod that was recommended and I've also installed is Realistic Pathfinding by Rusbear. This is by the same creator as the mod Smarter Transportation. Some of the players who use this have said that it reduces the amount of bicycles in your game, or at least makes bicycle usage a little bit more realistic. So we're not going to be seeing hordes of cyclists everywhere. And for the sake of Sunny Isle, I think that will help with some of the traffic issues. Alright, so we're still seeing quite a few traffic jams around the city, but we'll see how that develops. In between episodes, I've also gone ahead and added a whole bunch of bicycle parking. So much so that there isn't really a corner without any. And we've got capacity for over 5,000 in the city. And given that it's around about lunchtime and we've only got around about 3,400, we've got a lot of availability in the city, but we will have to keep an eye out for hotspots. Now, for the most part, I've not added any sort of parking fees on any of these bicycle parking garages. Most of them are the free bicycle parking racks that you just put on the side of the road. But in some areas I have constructed completely new buildings. One such area is in the Civic Quarter, where we replaced one of the car parks that comes with the college with a large bicycle parking hall. And I've also gone ahead and added the rear entrance, because people will use the internal paths in the college asset to get to this building. And I've also included additional storage spaces, although this isn't really necessary. We're only seeing around about 50% usage at the moment. And I've also included changing rooms so that it increases comfort and we get more people using it. And the idea of introducing so much capacity through the city was to completely drown out the demand, the fight for parking spaces. One of the biggest problems I found was they would turn up at their destination and that they would find that there was no availability. So they would go find somewhere else to put their bicycle, and it would be a little bit of a death loop. People would keep turning up to different parking spots, finding that there was nowhere to put their bike and having to find somewhere else. So the idea is, if we completely saturate the demand for bicycle parking spaces, we should see minimal trips. People should only really need to travel from point A to point B without having to make alternative accommodation. And for the most part, we're not really seeing that many traffic hotspots when it comes to bicycles anymore. With those mods and those changes, bicycles are able to move around freely. However, I do want to make some changes to our bicycle network today to create a little bit more free movement through the area and remove some of these conflict points, specifically down near this train track here. I also want to have a look at the congestion leading out of town near the cricket club. This is mostly vehicular traffic, and the main issue through here is we just don't have that much capacity. Some of these roads are only 2 lanes wide with 1 lane in each direction, and given that this is the main entrance to our city, it really is due an upgrade. Overall, it was a pretty productive live stream, and getting live feedback from all the viewers was really helpful, and I'm looking forward to doing some more live streams in the future. And we had a really good collection of people join, such as Skills Builds, Mayor Cheeks, and even Biffa made an appearance before bedtime while we were detailing this little park plaza here, which is proving to be very popular. Great view of the bay as well. This is a very popular area for pedestrians, for bicycles, and of course for trains. But I was thinking, if we could avoid some of the conflicts here with the bicycles, it should make the area a little bit safer and the movements through here a little bit smoother. So if we have a look along here where we've got this bicycle key, we can see that the ground with the train track on it is slightly raised. It's a slight embankment. So I'm thinking what we could do is we could create an underpass, and we could come up on the other side here where we've got this gravel surface with the trees, and then connect that bicycle path into just the general road network through here. Okay, so we've got the little underpass here now with the bicycles, and I did include the pedestrian access as well. I'm using the key version of the shared bicycle path so that we don't get that weird texture when it connects to the key wall. It's not perfect, but it looks okay. And I did have to drop this quite low because the rail bridge is quite chunky. But at the back here, we need to remove this fence that we put there a long time ago, and for the most part it looks pretty good. I'm gonna put a surface down here just to widen that area, maybe even add a little bit of foliage just to give a little bit of decoration. I'm having a look at this green tram line, It starts down at the harbour, makes a stop in the middle here, and then there is another stop down near the Palms Times Square. And I think we could eliminate this one here, and we can introduce those bicycle lanes onto the road, because the distance between these three is quite short, and we could have better flow if we just have fewer stops. It's only a 1 minute walk in either direction, so I think that decision is easy to make. With the tram stop removed and the bicycle lanes added, it should be a little bit easier coming through here now if you're on a bike and you're not having to fight with the tram tracks. And overall, I'm pretty happy with the result. It's a nice little bit of bicycle pedestrian infrastructure, something that we don't focus too much on. And it's something we've not really had to worry about in the past. But with the introduction of bicycles, we're seeing a lot more congestion in ways that we've never seen before. And out of curiosity, I'm going to select on Harbour Road and have a look at the traffic routing through here. We can see that the yellow is the bicycle path, and it's clearly being heavily used. It's quite interesting. We don't have many bicycles coming towards the harbour. It's mostly heading into the city. So we may want to have a look at optimizing some cycle routes through here in the future. It is a shame that we didn't build this bridge closer to this underpass, but given that the gradient is quite gentle through here, it's probably worth keeping the bridge where it is. Otherwise, we might need to drop the bridge down quite low to get it underneath the rail track. And like reality, you can't always change things that you've done in the past. So I think it's sometimes worth keeping these projects even though they aren't ideal. And with the changes we made in the last episode, on the live stream, and in this episode, this area is starting to become one of my favourite parts of the city. And down by the beachfront, we're already starting to see these buildings level up. We've got a level 3 commercial on the front here, and some of these mixed uses are also coming up to level 3 and level 4. And as they develop over time, we'll see new models come in, and we'll also see the population density increase. Along with making some improvements, I did also create this bus priority road section here. So I'm using a custom wide avenue road, which has just 2 lanes of traffic, one going in both directions, which allows for parking on the street. However, when you add a bus stop, it doesn't remove the parking, so I did have to convert this just into the vanilla 4-lane avenue road, and then I added the dedicated bus lanes on both sides of the road so that vehicles can skip past the buses when they make a stop. Somebody commented in the last episode that this ferry pier is a little bit too long and not very desirable, especially if you want to hop on and off and explore the touristy area. So we're going to go into our transportation menu, into ferries, and let's grab the ferry line tool. And we have a stop here, but we can simply just move that to this one over here. This is going to be the closest one to the building itself, and I think I'll put it on this side so that we don't create any sort of turbulence along the beach. And then for the rest of this ferry building, I think we could convert it partly into a marina. So let's go into the landscaping menu, go into nature, we'll scroll down, and then we'll start putting some of these yachts along here. And using Anarchy, we should be able to place these over existing ferry paths. I went ahead and added a few of the fishing boat props that came with the Bridges and Ports DLC, using Find It to place those down. I also included this little walkway so that people could come out to their boats. And this is quite nice because it does include a few benches and it allows people to come along and just have a look around, and it does add a little bit more life to the build. I've also noticed that we are getting people coming up to the end of the pier here, treating it more like a tourist attraction, which is quite interesting. I wasn't expecting that, But overall, I think I'm pretty happy with the way this little marina works. I'm sure there'll be many more to come, especially around Sunny Isle. But for the first one, it's pretty simple and I quite like it. And we haven't had to rebuild our ferry terminal from scratch. And if we look at Sapphire Bay from afar, it really does complete the picture. Okay, so in the last stream, we did make some upgrades to the bike network, as I mentioned earlier. But off camera, I've also added some new bike lanes along some of the main routes. So we have Reuben Road. This is one that runs the entire length of the city from the old town on the hill down to the roundabout connecting up to the highway. I've got the bikes coming up to the cricket ground down here. It provides a lot of access to some pretty busy areas, and I think the next project I'd like to work on in today's episode is around here and further improving the connectivity of the road network, especially for those wanting to leave the city. This little turn lane is due an upgrade, and I think at the same time we can also introduce some new assets that I've found on the PDX mod store. The first asset I'd like to introduce is in Parks and Recreation, Large Sports Park, and it's the local cricket oval, and we'll use this to replace our custom cricket ground. Now, looking at this is the perfect size, almost identical to the one we've already got. However, the difference between this and the one that we currently have in the build is that it'll be functional. At the moment, we have a football ground hidden underneath the surface using better bulldozer, and I think if we can upgrade this to use a custom asset that is specifically made for this purpose, let's go ahead and use it. So first, I need to delete the football ground. And we'll also have to remove the cricket club, which we're using a school for. So good job we added a new school in the last episode. And we'll also clean up some of these net lanes and props so that we could fit this in properly. To quickly remove all the props, I'm going to use the tree brush tool. I'm going to change the brush strength to 100%. I'm going to turn the snapping tool off. Let's also reduce the brush size to around about 40, so we've got a little bit more control. And then we'll come through, and that should remove all the props and the trees that we don't want. And then we can add our own afterwards if we need to. Okay, that gives us a blank slate to put this asset down. Let's have a look to see how it fits in. I think the clubhouse would be best closest to the city on this side of the build, and it looks like it pretty much fits like a glove. I'm going to pop it in around about here. We will need to fix up some of the paths around the edge that we placed previously, but to me that looks absolutely spectacular. And I'm using the better bulldozer option where it automatically deletes the grass that comes with assets. So this is just the base game vanilla grass that you see underneath here. And to me, it just blends into the build so much better. And from a distance, that just looks absolutely stunning. It really does complete the area, makes it look a lot more professional. Looking from above, we've got this pedestrian path along here, which I think we do need to rework. So we'll go ahead and delete it up to that point. We've got a pedestrian path down here, which intersects with this building. So I think we'll go ahead, remove that building, and then we'll add a new connection there. And in fact, I'm going to de-zone all these buildings along here, including these residential buildings, so that we can make some upgrades to this road, provide a bit more access at one of our city entrances, and then bring in some landscaping to make the whole area feel a little bit more integrated into its surroundings. But let's have a close look at what we've got with this asset. We've got this nice little equipment area with a few props. We've got this beautiful custom score box, which has a custom facade on it with some nice textures, some nice bit of text there. We've got a little bit of parking that comes with the asset itself. We do have some parking that we place down ourselves near the river, which services this hotel. It'll be interesting to see if the attraction of this asset increases tourism in the area, If we have a look at this asset at the moment, it currently only has 13 out of 120 rooms rented, so not doing too well at the moment. And then if we have a look at the cricket pitch itself, we even have some little wickets, some decals. This is a really well done asset. And if we quickly have a look at the asset information itself, you can just open up the info panel. You can see that it was created by Trist1322. It's been subscribed by 4,000 other people, and you can find the name here, Local Cricket Oval, if you want to find it for yourself on PDX Mods. Okay, before we add any details, let's go ahead and upgrade this road. At the moment, in some parts, there's only 2 lanes of traffic, and I'd like to make this a lot wider since we've got the opportunity to do so, given that we've opened up some of this free land. And very early on in the series, I did create some custom road builder roads that had extra lanes, very similar to this, where we've got the tram track on the right side of the road. And we should be able to find these in the road builder menu. This is my 4-lane asymmetric road with a parallel tram track. So we'll go ahead and place this. This is probably going to break a few things through here, but we will be careful not to destroy any buildings or any more buildings. So let's drag the road this way so that the tram tracks stay on that side of the road. And I think I will come through and underneath this rail bridge here. For this protected turn here near the pumping station, I think I'm going to start from scratch. So let's go ahead and remove the existing roads. And this will disconnect the water pump from the city momentarily, so we'll go ahead and pause the game. We have a taxi stand on this road up here, which I think I'll go ahead and remove. I'm also going to relocate this car park 1 tile over. And for this section of road up here where we've got the car accident, I'm going to jump into the road builder menu. We're going to create a new road using this as a template. I want to keep the median in the middle, but I want to add an extra lane of traffic on the right side of the road. I'm going to rename this appropriately to a 4-lane asymmetric road. We're going to click on the little button to place more, and then turning off the snapping tools, we're just going to shift it over a little bit so that the lanes are better aligned. I'm then going to jump back into Road Builder and use this custom one-way alley, and then using the continuous curve tool, I'm going to find a snapping point, come out at a 90-degree angle, and then we'll bring this around here and we'll snap that into the wider road coming alongside the cricket ground. Now that connects quite nicely into the wider road down here. However, this isn't the correct road that I wanted to use. The road that I wanted to use is the one-way road going underneath the Phoenix Bridge section here. So we'll go ahead and use the picker tool. We'll grab that and we'll go ahead and replace this. What's great about this particular road is that it has a sidewalk on one side of the street here, allowing people to move around quite easily. It also supports power and water, so we should be able to connect this back up to the water pump without any issue. So we'll grab a water pipe and we'll connect that back in to the network, unpause it and see if everything is working properly. There we go. So the water pump is back up and running. And in between episodes, I did go ahead and add the extra pump so that we've got a little bit more capacity through the city. If we have a quick look at the water and sewage info view, we can see that we've got a pretty good amount of water availability through the area at the moment. And the ground pollution through this area is currently at 0, even though we haven't edited any of the groundwater deposits through the city. Now looking at this section of Reuben Road here, where it gets a little bit skinny, I think we could introduce a median here so that we've got better traffic flow going from this wider section down into the main crossroad. For that, we're going to jump into Road Builder and then we're going to click on this road, use it as a template. Let's increase the median up to 5 meters. Let's also add a small median between the different directions of traffic. Let's upgrade the rest of the road through here and align it appropriately. Let's go ahead and remove these traffic lights and these traffic lights, and then we'll do some cleanup with some of the crosswalks and lane connections. Okay, and with those changes complete, let's go ahead and start adding some landscaping and detailing. Along this section here, I'd also like to add another custom asset. The asset creator of the cricket ground has also provided the Cricketer's Arms, which is a beautiful looking pub, and I think this will look really nice on this corner here. And then alongside the pub, we're going to go ahead and add some residential, and I'm thinking of using the Netherlands low density gambrel roof. And if you're familiar with the Netherlands asset pack, you'll know that these gambrel roofs also come with corner pieces. However, they only spawn if your road network is a corner. So we're going to go ahead and use Find It to place these down. And let's take a closer look at this beautiful asset. And again, this is created by Trist, and you can find it on the PDX Mod store. Now, it is a little bit funny in this position here because it is a corner piece and we are obscuring the view a little bit. So we may want to juggle that around and place that down here instead. So let's go ahead and shuffle that about. And that looks loads better. And yes, it's still a little bit of a weird place here. I think we could bring in a new road that connects up to that pub, and a little bit close to that intersection. That's probably going to cause some issues, but I think it's just going to finish off the area really, really nicely. So we'll place a little alley road in there. Let's go ahead and turn off these traffic lights. They're really not needed. And even the pedestrian crossings are a little bit excessive in my opinion, since we've got the intersection down here. Lovely little seating area out front there. Nice little patio section at the back. Yeah, that looks really nice. And we could even bring in a little footpath so that people can enter the back of their property via this alleyway. I'm just going to use a simple surface here, bring that back here, and we'll connect this up to the corner of that asset there. And I'm going to bring this all the way down here actually, so that people have a rear entrance to their property, and we'll place a little invisible path back here as well so that people can use it if they need to. And yeah, that looks really nice. And like I said, using these end pieces really does finish off this asset nicely, or this series of assets. And I like the random propping that's been added to these buildings. It makes it feel a little bit less repetitive. And yes, it's not the most desirable area to live, but you are pretty close to the cricket ground. You've got good access to the tram network, the bicycle network, and pretty good access if you want to exit the city. The only thing that does concern me about these assets is there isn't any parking, so we do need to provide a little bit of parking. And I'm thinking of just putting it next to this, which can also double up as commercial parking for people that want to attend the pub. Over here, I think we could put a little bit of commercial, and I'm curious to see what the Eastern European low density business looks like. And to be honest, that looks pretty good. I quite like the look of that. However, it did cover up our little pedestrian path that we put for the rear entrance of those buildings. So we'll use a little bit and move it, and we'll shuffle those over just a little bit. There we go. I really like the look of that. And the buildings are different colors, but I imagine maybe at some point it's been split into different ownerships and people have decided to maintain their buildings slightly different from each other. Now that we've got this little lane connecting to the backside of the cricket club, I think it'll be worth bringing in the road and connecting it up to the roads that we've got on the other side. I'd love to be able to squeeze it in between this industrial building and the tennis court, so I think I'm gonna go into move it and just shuffle these over a little bit. It's not very realistic, but I think in the end it will look a little bit nicer. And let's finish off the area with a little bit of foliage. Okay, it's looking good, and I'm thinking the cricket club might want to make a little bit of return on their investment, especially down this section of the build where we've got an empty piece of land. And I think we could add some more residential here, and I've grabbed this residential building from PDX Mods store called the Sapphire. And I think we could fit this in. We can see the hedges are kind of shared at the back, and we've got a little bit of overlap on the front. But if we turn on Anarchy, we should be able to squeeze this in nicely. We'll pop that one in there, and I think we could even get a second one on the other side of this block here. And that looks pretty good. We just need to level it out so that it's at the same height as the cricket club. And I think this area is golden. And let's have a close look at these beautiful assets. Yeah, I really like that. We've got these balconies here which are overlooking the water. I imagine that'd be really desirable. And let's see if we could add one of our little pocket parks in here. Yeah, that looks a little bit nicer. Somewhere shady to hang out. And we've got the fence there from the original version to stop any of the kids from jumping into the water. Yeah, that's pretty good, that. And these fit in really, really nicely. We've got the parking which came with the hotel, and we've got a little bit of green space in between which we can place a tree to add a little bit more shade. I quite like these alders for that job. They're tall and a little bit skinnier than some of the other buildings or some of the other trees, and that looks really nice there. I would have loved a little bit more height variation with these trees, so I'm going to remove a couple of those and then we'll try that again. Yeah, nice big one there. I quite like that. And yeah, that looks really good. Again, I'm going to bring in a little bit more foliage on this side of the build. And that looks super nice. I really like that. From what we had before, it doesn't look out of place. It's not overly detailed. We're using a good mix of custom assets and asset packs, and I really do love the fact that we've got a proper cricket ground available in PDX Mod Store to use in any city now. Now, before we wrap up today's episode, we do need to have a look at the way this road has connected into the city. This little U-turn isn't desirable, and I think what we can do now is introduce an extra slip lane coming off the highway near these offices so that we have a dedicated road coming from a high-speed road to our collector heading into the city. To make sure this road is safe and to remove some of these trees from using Move It, let's upgrade it to have street lighting all the way through here. Now we just need to finish up by cleaning up some of the decals. And that should flow a little bit better. So we haven't got a dedicated lane separate from the roundabout, but it should provide a little bit more flow through here since it allows 2 lanes of traffic. to come off the highway up here with our crazy highway junction. They can come down here, navigate around the retention pond, head along this road here underneath the rail bridge, connect up into the main road network where we've got the sidewalks. Now we don't need to have the traffic lights on this, do we? So let's go ahead and remove that if it lets us. And that seamlessly diverges into 2 lanes heading into the city. The tram tracks turn into a tram road, and that comes down to this intersection where we've got the cricketer arms, these beautiful row homes, and then the start of the cycle network, which comes all the way down to this intersection which we optimized earlier. Now this is looking absolutely stunning. I think it's always a really good idea to come back to some of your older builds. If you can improve them, go ahead, give it a go, and I think you'll find that the process is quite satisfying. And look at all these people down here doing some exercise. That's crazy. I like that though. It's good to see a little bit of life, a little bit of animation in the build. And with those changes, we're not really seeing any traffic issues through here now. And yes, we did add extra lanes and made roads a little bit wider, but we also added extra bicycle infrastructure and a better connected city where services can get to where they're needed. It's a good reminder that sometimes progress isn't about adding something new, but about revisiting areas that were built early on and giving them the attention they deserve. A few better connections, some thoughtful upgrades, and suddenly the whole area starts working together rather than against itself. And I'd love to know what you think about the bike lane colours and whether you've had similar issues with bicycles in your own cities. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and as always, take care, and I'll see you next time back here in Sunny Isle. Goodbye.